the pass to Johnson. Johnson still going. Dummies again. Johnson. Into the way to Brown. Brown goes in to score.
Ali Salvia down the touchline. Oh, this is unbelievable. They're gonna win it. Oh, what scenes here, what scenes. LeBron James, a shot at history. LeBron stands alone. The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James.
Right, we're on, ready to rip and tear on your Thursday. Fresh, recovered from benderitis, the voice has bounced back. Been filling in on George FM Breakfast too, which has been a great warm-up for the vocal cords this week. But ready to rip into another massive week of sport. This one's a real box ticker too. NRL, NRLW, International Rugby, All Blacks, British and Irish Lions there. UFC 318, you got the boxing too. Usyk up against Dubois. There really is something for everyone, so get stuck in. It's going to be a doozy. TAB, we've got a bonus cash code as well. This week, it's for the first try scorer across the NRL round 20 clashes, where if you enter the bonus code first and then place a first try scorer bet on any NRL game this weekend, if your player doesn't score first, you'll get your money back up to $20 as bonus cash. Limit 1 per customer into the first 200 people who claim it. So that code is first, and it is for a first try scorer bet across any NRL game this weekend. So say, for example, you jump on Dallin Watene-Zelezniak against the Knights. You chuck him in, bet on him after using the code first. He doesn't score first. You'll get your money back in bonus cash up to $20. So get on board there. And thanks to the TAB, as always, really appreciate their unwavering support. Also, the STS Canadian Club Golf Day, drop one of tickets, sold out in just over 20 minutes. They went like hotcakes. Well, drop 2 is this Sunday, 6 p.m. There's a very limited amount of teams. It is going to sell out even quicker than the first drop. So if you're wanting to be in the mixer, you're wanting to be at Pupuki Golf Course on August the 2nd with some of the greats, SJ, Joey Damon, I think Finn Allen's coming along, Lee and Tammy, plus just some great New Zealanders in general. The CCs will be flowing. There'll be some good golf and some dusty golf. There's prizes galore. Longest drive, closest to the pin, first, second, third. There's trophies as well. A great addition. You'll get a whiskey and wedges hat, similar to the old Bears and Bogies hat from the first golf day, if you've seen those. It's a nice piece of kit. So drop 2, Sunday, 6 p.m, July 20th, I believe the date is. Hopefully didn't get that wrong. Snooze you lose, get in fast if you want to be playing at the Surly Talk Sports Golf Day. It is going to be one of the greats, and I hope to see you there. But a stacked card for today's pod, as I alluded to before. So let's get straight into it and talk all things rugby league, God's game. Round 19 in the books, which means round 20 this weekend. That is exciting because it means finals are less than 2 months away, but it's also scary because it means the end of the season is on the horizon. Then we have to go through that horrible 4 or 5 month period where we don't have any footy. Luckily, Rugby League 26 will be well and truly into its work then. That will be a great off-season time killer to keep the Fizz alive for the greatest game of all. Round 19 though, the results, I think all the favourites won that weekend for the first time this season. The Sharks, 24 points to 12 over the Finns, and Nico Hines clinic, 2 tries from him and a try assist. I thought that was his best game of the season by far. Also Blake Brayley, I believe that was his 132nd game straight, not missing a game through injury. To play a position like hooker and be that durable with the size he is at as well, he's not a big human being. That is crazy. And man, does he get about his work. 45 tackles in this one, 2 try assists. He's playing some great code. The Sharks, hooker, the Finns, of course, they were without the Hammer and Nikarima, so they are down troops. And I think this game just went to show how important the old 8% Cody's is for this team. Of course, out with a hamster strain at the moment. I think he's going to miss at least 3 more weeks. Sean O'Sullivan in the 6 jersey at the moment, and I think they just missed Cody's attack so bad. He compliments Isaiah Katoa beautifully. And Izzy, although he didn't have his best game in this one, I don't think he's helped by being partnered with Sean O'Sullivan. That's for sure. Super Saturday saw the Knights kick us off going down at home against the Melbourne Storm, 14 points to 32. The Storm, they started slow without Munster and Pappy, but once they hit their straps and got into their work, it was a pretty Melbourne-like performance in the second half. Jerome Hughes, the headgear assassin, he continues to kill it. 4 try assists in this game. Ali Katoa bagged himself a double, as did Trent Learu, carrying over his origin form from last Wednesday night. Those 3 the standouts for me. That Hughes and Katoa combo is proving to be one of the best in the competition, as Ali Katoa's stocks just continue to rise. He has to be, of course, top 3 second rower at least now, going great guns to make the team of the year at the Dally M's. That is for sure. Dragons 24, Roosters 31. Good game this one. Dragons didn't roll over and they made the Roosters work bloody hard for the dub. Sammy Walker thought he looked good on return. He is going to be massive for this Roosters attack. He just straightens them up so nicely. Handy goal kicker as well. And I thought the Chooks looked pretty impressive. Valentine Holmes, he was massive for the Dragons, backing up from Origin as well. Chooks back in the 8 with this win. Wouldn't be surprised to see them finish in the top 6. Now they're starting to get bodies back, although they will be without Hugo Savala for the next wee period. I saw Chad Townsend coming into play for them this week. That seems like a pretty crazy selection. I was sure they would go with Sandon Smith. Cowboys 8. Dogs 12. Dogs cut Galvin pre-kickoff. They go with the spine that got them to the top of the ladder, and they walked away with the 2 points as well. It wasn't always pretty, but they grounded out. A bit of controversy with that Viliami kick-out try-saver on Scotty Drinkwater as well to get them the win. Did look like there was an argument for a high shot in that one, but the Bulldogs, they banked the 2 points with a tough away dub and get themselves back in the winner's circle, snapping a 2-game losing streak, although I see old mate Serraldo, he's backflipped on that Galvin decision again and decided to start him in the 7 this week. I just can't make sense of it. Surely that has to be their spine moving forward now, because you just can't keep chopping and changing blokes in such crucial positions. It's not good for Galvin's confidence either. Super Sunday, Eels 10, Panthers 32. It was a Cleary clinic. Why he couldn't do this last Wednesday, fuck me, it's frustrating, but at NRL level, he is a wizard. Came off the bench for the first time in his career, I believe, scored a beautiful try, just drifting across the field, pretending to drop players under, causing all sorts of confusion for the Parramatta defenders. Man, 50 minutes. I think he scored 80-odd fantasy points just 4 days after that Origin heartbreak. And then he took to social media on Sunday too, said he was embarrassed about his performance. He's taken the learnings from it. That to me just screams that this is a bloke with a chip on his shoulder, still with a point to prove, despite having led Penrith to 4 straight premierships. The Panthers are back. I see he's being rested this week, him and Isaiah Yeo, but shit, you don't want to play them come playoffs time. They are just that good. For Parramatta, Dylan Brown at hooker. Not sure that one worked, only played 35 minutes as well. Perhaps this is a sign of Riles prioritising the future now, and he's named the 18th man this weekend. So to me, this seems like a good old-fashioned push-out. They're trying to force Dylan Brown's hand into an early release so they can get him off their books and look to build. With the Knights want him early, I'm not so sure. I don't think Dillbags actually wants to go early either, so watch this space. I think there's more to this story yet to unfold, but they're investing in Joash Papali in the 6th jersey at this point in time, and you can't blame them. Panthers with their 3rd win in a row to stay in 6th position. Here they come. Titans 14, Broncos 26. Geez, this game was a mixed bag. 20 errors in the first half. A dusty first 40 minutes of code. In fact, that was more errors in that first half than there was in total in 5 of the 7 NRL games on the weekend. The Broncos, though, they looked better in the second half, clicked into gear and scored some nice tries, although the Titans refused to go away. Reece Walsh with a cartwheel into a backflip try celebration, which was pleasing on the eyeballs, especially considering prior to that, looked like he was limping, struggling a bit on that heavily strapped knee. knee, but he managed to find his way to the line and then bust out some aerial acrobatics like that. He must have carved up in gymnastics class back in primary school. Katoni Staggs, he had himself a day too. Shout out to that Broncos fan in the stands who said, "Lick my toes, Katoni," or something like that on a sign. That was elite. Also kind of creepy, but well done to her. He had himself a day. 236 run meters, a try assist, 5 tackle breaks. Shit, there's some good centres going around at the moment, and Katoni Staggs is certainly included amongst them. And then, of course, the game of the weekend. Warriors 34, Tigers 14. What a day at Mount Smart we were treated to. 3 from 3 dubs on the Sunday in the triple header. And then, of course, shout out to the Jersey Flag side on the Saturday as well. At Harbour Stadium, the home of rugby, which became the home of rugby league for the day. And also the home of one of the great comebacks in Jersey Flag history. 3 tries in 4 minutes we scored to win this game. The Cup side, they won their 12th straight game, of course. And the NRLW side, they had a big 14-0 win against the Eels in their first home game since September of 2019. Up the mighty Wahine, Michaela Brake tackles, you can call her. She equaled the NRLW tackle breaks record, 16 in this game in just her second game of rugby league. Her ceiling in this sport is scary, and we are starting to see a glimpse of it now. I thought Taisha Ignacio was outstanding too, only her second game, and she bagged her first try, so good to see the Black Fern Sevens lads starting to really stake their claim and make their mark. I thought Patricia Maliepo was great in the 6 again as well. Really enjoyed her performance. Api Nichols, she was inspiring for us at the back, body on the line, just folding some women as well on defence. She was massive. Also enjoyed the job of Curtin at 7, a good game controller. And then Shakira Baker in the forward pack. Love her aggressive running style on an edge. Thought she was really good too. But of course the NRL side got the dub in the main event, and this was a great performance from the lads. A strong team shift. You could tell this game meant a lot to the boys. They rocked up on the team bus, and I think that really set the tone. Of course, often home games, they just show up by themselves. Park, walk into the gym. This time they showed up by themselves. I believe they then jumped on the team bus, did a little lap around Mount Smart, hopped off together, presented a united front. And I do reckon it had an impact. Webby, of course, we've won 6 of our 8 games in Australia this year, so clearly he thinks there's something in that. And the performance we put out there for the 80 minutes suggests that he could well be right. The boys ripped in. I was a little worried when Skelton crossed in the first minute, but from there on out, I thought we dominated. We scored 6 tries in total, 3 in each half. The stats, they suggest this game was even. 82% completion rate for us, 81% for the Tigers. Possession, it was incredibly close as well, 51% to 49%. But what we did with that possession was the difference. We were extremely effective and efficient. We ran for almost 400 more run meters. We won the line breaks count 10-3, and that proved to be the difference. Man, did we look deadly. Wade Egan, for me, he was my MVP. His work out of dummy half on attack was brilliant, in particular with that new spine of CHT, Tain Tuopiki and Tanner Boyd. I thought he took so much of the playmaking pressure off them. Add to that a game-high 54 tackles that he made. It was another clinic from one of the best 9s in the comp, the CEO of Ruck Manipulation. Speaking of Tanner, I thought he ticked all the boxes, ran the game well. He was strong defensively. I love the way he digs deep into the line on attack too. Really helps CHT and Tain out the back of shape. It makes us dangerous in our red zone strike plays as well. Opposition defences can't drift off early. He's straightening them up, squaring them up and sitting them down, which then causes opposition sides to have to jam or scramble, and that's when they make mistakes, which led to so many of our tries as well. I thought his kicking game was accurate, as it always is. Over 400 kick meters, forced a dropout too, and then his goal kicking, he was great off the rubber. 5 from 6, such a dependable option there. To go up in 6s and not 4s could prove crucial for us in the back end of the season. I think we expected this type of performance, and we can expect it from him moving forward as well. A great club debut from TB7. He's still only 24 years old as well. For some reason, I assume, just looking at him, and I think most fans do too, late 20s, because he has been around for a little while, 70 NRL games under his belt already. I think he debuted at 18, so he has been around for 7 years, but he is still so young, and I think people see him as a bit of a battler and an older half, but he's still the same age as Tommy Dearden. Came out of high school in the Kangaroos system, the Queensland Origin under-20 system as well. Has a huge future ahead of him and his best footy ahead of him as well, and I think this Warriors setup is where we are going to see it, which is incredibly exciting for us as Warriors fans. Of course, extended through to the end of 2026 as well, so clearly he loves being here. And to me, he just seems like another guy that Webby is going to get the best out of, which you love to see. Lecker the Wrecker, holy hecka, here comes Lecker. He said, Lecker my balls to Charlie Staines in one of the great individual tries. But in his 80 minutes, he had a try, his fourth in the last 5 games. He's now one behind Lukey Met for our top try scorer this season as well. Crazy for a 19-year-old second rower that's been used off the interchange in multiple games too. He had a kick chase, try assist as well when he got up for that nudge and forced Charlie Staines into a drop for CHT's second try. He had 108 run meters off 10 runs, 44 tackles for just 2 misses. Man, he is a genuine shot for NRL Rookie of the Year. Certainly has to be right up there, at least for bronze, silver, or gold medal contention. Rob Toyer and the likes, they will certainly be sniffing round 2 and they'll push him right the way to the end. But for me, incredibly biased, I reckon Lecker is the one that should come away with that award. To think in 4 to 5 years' time what this guy could be. His ceiling is just massive. He's already an outstanding NRL player, and we're only just scratching the surface. And the thing about him, he looks hungry, he looks humble, and he looks determined to keep improving his game and take it to another level. And with someone like Fisher Harris leading him around the paddock, the captain that won't allow for any complacency, I can't wait to see come 2030 what Leka Halasima looks like in Warriors kit. Tane Tuopiki, mentioned him before, he was massive, 223 run meters, a try assist, a line break assist, 11 tackle breaks. His work attacking short sides, I thought that was really impressive, and just his attack in general was great. Another ball playing option out the back of shape, as I mentioned before, when Tanner's sitting people down, and then you got Tane sweeping. It's so hard to defend. His one-on-one defense was huge too. Not a big body, but he's ballsy, always willing to put his nuts on the line. I think he got folded by Skelton there, another big shot his riggers copped this year in the last month as well, but he just gets back up, shakes it off, doesn't seem to faze him. And man, he's just a quality player, such a good option to have as our backup fullback. And many people now calling for him to remain in the 1 jersey. For me, Chance, of course, he's earned the right to walk straight back in there. But you do have to think, Tane in the 17 makes our attack so lethal. It's certainly something for Webby to ponder. Could we see Chance move into the centres as well when he returns? I know fans are keen to see that. So hey, watch this space, in Webby we trust, but another big shift from Double T. RTS, unreal, try, 271 run meters, 94 PCMs, a big performance as he continues to cement his home on the wing. Rocco Berry, feel sorry for the bloke, scored a try, but left the game after 32 minutes with a dislocated shoulder. Tough for him to swallow. He's played 6 games this season, 12 last year, missed the first 6 rounds this year with a shoulder. He's out again now for probably, 6 to 8 weeks, potentially the season. Hopefully not. Love watching Rocco play, but at the same time, if we did shut him down, just allowed him to get his body 100% right, ready for next year, you would understand that decision too. I think he has so much potential, still so raw to the game of rugby league. Defensively, he's a massive asset for us, and he's been scoring tries on attack this year too. So gutted for Rock, old bootlace Berry, and hopefully it is on the lesser side, that shoulder dislocation, and he can be back out on the paddock again in 2025. CHT, 2 tries for him in this one. Love the first one, right off the training paddock. That was a set play, you'd have to think, and the lads executed it perfectly. Egan, Aaron Clark, in goes CHT for a try. Also had 2 line break assists and a try assist. Question has to be asked, is he the 5'8" of the year this year? And to say that statement, when you think in preseason, people were gobsmacked he was named in round 1 to partner Lukey Met in the halves. Everyone thought it was going to be Tamaire and Lukey Met. People were calling for Metcalf and Tanner Boyd. I feel like CHT and Metcalf was the least popular of the combinations, but fuck, is he in career best form? And to me, I think he is the 5'8" of the comp this year. Munster probably pushes him close. Nikarima was going great, but he's out injured now. Geez, he's certainly in the conversation. I think he's 7th at the moment in the NRL for try assists. He's scoring tries, kicking game much improved. Defensively, we all know how big of a hitter he is too. And he just looks so happy, calm, confident, comfortable. All the C's at the moment from CHT, playing some unreal footy. Jacko Ford, exceptional, 65 minutes at prop, 165 run metres off 18 carries, 71 PCMs, 48 tackles. Bloke's a workhorse, and this was another big shift from him. So multiple standouts. You could probably run through the whole team. Aaron Clark, I thought he was great too. Fisher Harris, still effective with his minutes. Leadership, you can't put a price on that, especially the stuff he brings off the paddock too. I thought he was really good. And to do all of this without our origin star and Curdy Capewell, I thought it was really impressive. A great team win, a good performance in front of a sold-out Mount Smart crowd. This one for me ticked every box. Tigers, they're no joke this year. They're putting up a fight. They certainly haven't rolled over, so to beat them 34 points to 14 in pretty tough conditions as well. It had been raining a lot before kickoff on Sunday at Mount Smart. So this is a great 2 points and valuable one too in our run home. 9 games left at time of recording last week when I spoke with Blake Ashford around how I reckon we would win at least 6. That is a good box to tick because that was a potential banana skin game. Benji's boys come in and they leave with their tail between their legs. You just love to see it. But on to this week we go. Thursday night footy, good to have it back. Origin period is over and now we get back to usual programming. Dolphins versus Cows tonight should be a good game. Of course, for the Finns, they welcome back the hammer. Still no Cody Nikarima though. Shit, will they miss him. For the Cowboys, Jackson Polo comes onto the wing for Robert Derby, who's dropped to the reserves. He had a tough night under the high ball. Burden was bombing him to shit last week, so he has been dropped as a result. I like the Finns in this one at home. Of course, more on my tips in the punting section at the end of the podcast, but I'll be getting on the Dolphins there to bounce back at Suncorp Stadium and come away with the dub. Friday night doubleheader. Sharks versus Chooks and Panthers versus Bunnies. Was surprised to see the Roosters at 225 underdogs. I like them in this game despite having Chad Townsend named in the 6. Can't make sense of that. Gutting for me too. I held on to Sandon Smith in fantasy just thinking if there was an injury in the halves to either Savala or to Sammy Walker, that Sandon would be the man who slotted in. Slot in Sandon. Surely that is the play, Robbo, but instead he's gone with the part-time podcaster, part-time footy player Chatty Townsend. A real head scratcher of a decision there for me. The Roosters side though, the rest of it looks bloody strong, and I like them to rock up to Shark Park and take the chocolates. For the Sharks, unchanged 17 to the team that got the dub last week against the Finns. Panthers versus Bunnies. Panthers taking this opportunity to rest Cleary and Isaiah Yeo. They're bringing back their origin lads in a bit of a rotation policy. Last week they rested Dill Edwards, Liam Martin and co. This week, those guys are playing. Actually, Liam Martin isn't. He's still injured, but Dill Edwards is back and he will skipper the boys, the ghost, from the fullback position this weekend. The Bunnies, I reckon they could be potentially in with a sniff, though. Of course, Latrell Mitchell comes back for them in this game, and they are desperate for a dub. Sitting down in second to last on the ladder, they are a better team than that. Ewan Aitken returns from injury in the second row. Jackie Whiten moves into the halves to partner Jamie Humphries. Of course, it's To'o. Here's the one back for the Panthers, not Liam Martin. Paul Alamotti keeps his spot, though, moves into the centres in place of the injured Isaac Tangor. I think this game will be reasonably tight. Panthers without Cleary, of course, so that takes so much sting out of their attack, and they'll miss Isaiah Yeo as well. I think the Bunnies, while I don't expect them to win, I think the Panthers are well and truly back, as I mentioned before. I reckon the Bunnies keep it tight, so they could be a great play on an alternative line. Again, touch on that shortly. Super Saturday, triple header. Raiders taking on the Eels, the Green Machine, the Canberra Milk. Surely they will be too strong. They're sitting in first on the ladder at the moment, and the minor premiership is really theirs to lose on their run home. This game's in Canberra too. They're such a formidable force at home, and the Eels, they are all at sea. The Parramatta push-out is definitely happening to Dylan Brown, 18th man, and I just think they're prioritising next year. Good on them, fair enough too. They can't make the 8, so get guys like Talon De Silva in the mix. Good to see Dylan Walker starting in the 13 jersey, but surely Canberra way too strong. Dogs versus Dragons, Galvin starting at 7, chaos, but they do welcome back their Origin reps Stephen Crichton and Kurt Mann, who missed last week's game. Good to see the winger Jethro Rinakama remain on the wing. I thought he was really good on debut. For the Dragons, no changes to their 17. Still don't think they will be good enough to tip up the Dogs at a core though, so I'll be backing the Doggies. Storm versus Manly, should be a decent game this one. Manly starting to hit their straps as well. Turbo in the centres, I think he's been really good there, and Manly is full of attacking weapons as well. For the Storm, they welcome back Cameron Munster and a massive inclusion. Geez, talk about someone in great form from Origin. He will give them a huge boost. Nick Meaney, he remains at fullback. Ryan Pappenhausen still out with baby cow tightness. Xavier Coates returns on the wing after being rested last week. Grant Anderson shifts to the centres. But yeah, the big one has to be the return of Cam Munster. I think he is going to be the point of difference as the Storm continue to rack up wins at home. Amy Park is just such a fortress. They're bloody hard to beat there, and I think Bellamy's boys will get the chocolates. Tigers versus Titans. Interesting clash, this one. I don't think anyone would be confidently able to say who is going to win it. 14th versus 17th. Titans trying desperately not to win the wooden spoon. Des Hasler looks like he won't be coaching there in 2026 and potentially might not be coaching there at the back end of the season. The Tigers, they are handing a club debut as well to Taylor May, who has real potential to be one of their best attacking threats. Shit can he play, and if they can get the best out of him, he will be a heck of a pickup too. Like what they've done there with Adam Dewey, playing him in the 13. The Tigers actually have a decent team on paper, of course. No Jareem Buller, aka Ivor Jareem Bullavanaka. He's still out with injury. Taruva at the back, though, a more than capable replacement. For the Titans, pretty settled lineup for them. I'm going to back the Tigers at home to get the chockies. Could be a poo slinger, but I also think it'll be an entertaining watch because I'm expecting points aplenty. And then the biggest game of the weekend, save the best till last. You guys know the famous saying, the Knights taking on the Warriors as we look to rack up another win on the road. 6 of our 8 wins in Australia this year, and I can't see this one being any different. The boys love stamping the boarding pass, going through the E-gates at Auckland International Airport, checking through customs and coming back with a win. It's just become run-of-the-mill standard stuff for the Warriors in 2025. A settled side too. Curdy Capewell, he returns after missing last week due to rest. A smart play there from Webby. He's in the centres. Of course, straight swap for Rocco Berry. Interesting to see Ali Laotoa named on an extended bench. Potential he could come back into the side, although I do think they might just go with Kurt for his defensive abilities just to lock down the edge and not have to make more changes than necessary for this week as Ali continues to work his way back from injury. I would love to see Laotoa get another trot in the NRL this season though, because on attack his upside is just so massive. I genuinely think he could be one of the best strike centres in the game in time, and he is a weapon that we would certainly like to have in our duffel bag come finals footy. If he can be reaching peak form, he would be a great asset for us. For the Knights, Dane Gagai, he'll once again lead them from the back, fullback in the 1 jersey, but no Ponga, no Fletcher Sharp, the normal occupants of that fullback role and 2 of their biggest strike weapons. So I love to see them both out. Also love to see, and it sucks for Knights fans, but Dylan Lucas out and unavailable for this game too. He has been one of their best. The biggest threats, you'd have to say Bradman Best, playing some decent code at the moment since returning from injury, and a lot of eyes will be on him. Greg Marju, decent work out of yard regarded strong ball runner, PCMs of doom. The bloke is built like a brick shithouse, so he will be hard to contain. Dom Young, the XL Dommy, he's playing some good code back at his OG NRL club, the XL Condom. He will be a target to watch for sure. Leo Thompson and Saifidi up against Fisher Harrison Ford. That should be a good matchup. Jaden Brayley, decent footballer, as is Wellington Phoenix Crosland in 13, and Jackson Napier Hastings in the halves. When you look at these two teams on paper, though, clearly the Warriors have the advantage, and I don't think we fear heading to Newcastle, so there won't be any factor around that either. Another game in the crease for Tanner Boyd before next week. He will take on his old club, the Titans, in what should be a redemption game as well. But looking forward to seeing our spine click yet again and continue just to build connections and take our attack to another level week in and week out. I think our pack will be up for the tussle, that's for sure, and then the ability to bring on someone like a Dimitrik Vaimolga off the bench. That kickoff carry he had last week, that was some scary shit. I don't think opposition teams will be kicking off to him in a hurry. I think we could have a Spencer Leniu situation on our hands for sure. He's a big body, aggressive, just wants to be an enforcer, and I love to see that from our young Warriors middle. An exciting extended bench as well. Sammy Healy, Eddie Iremaya Toiava, Bunty Afoa, Ali Lautoa, and Fatia Lofa all on an extended Remu. I don't see any real late changes though. Ali probably the only one you could talk me into. Apart from that, it's a settled side that got the dub last week, and I expect us to do the same this weekend. In the last game of the round, 6:05 p.m. kickoff for us, NRLW side after at 8 o'clock. Love that. A WARS double header to round out your sporting weekend. 2 points, bank it. Jump back on the plane and get ready for the Titans next weekend. Of course, no game is easy in the NRL, but you'd like to think the boys have what it takes to get the win this weekend. Another one on our run home to lock us into a top 4, buy us a second life in finals footy too, which can prove to be so crucial. Up the mighty Wars, up the Wahine as well, and up the Cup side, who I believe are playing at North Harbour Stadium this weekend on Saturday. Could be wrong there, but I think I'm right. If that is the case, feel free to get along and support them as they chase 13 straight wins. That is unreal scenes. Rugby Union, All Blacks too strong for the French at the Cake Tin, 43 points to 17. I think this was the scoreline that everyone suggested in the first test, but the lads finally dished it up in the second. I thought it was a much improved performance, especially in that first half. We were so clinical for the first 40 minutes, executed the game plan perfectly, played at speed with high accuracy, used the skill set in our forward pack. Their short passing and interchange game is incredibly exciting to watch. I thought our backs played really well as well. And overall, it was just a strong team performance, 1 to 15 in particular. And I think the bench had a pretty good impact as well. Emotional scenes pre-kickoff, Big Tim Tavatava Nawai in tears singing the anthem. Those are sights that you love to see. I was stoked to see him get his debut as well. Probably didn't have the big of an impact that he had in Super Rugby too, but you hear these guys, just Duplessis Kirifi the week before, talking about how big of a step up international code is. So I think Big Jim handled himself pretty well and certainly showed he's not out of depth at that level, and I'm keen to see more of him in the black jersey. For me, it was the forwards that really stood out though. I thought Ardi was MVP, Paddy Tui Polotu close behind. Skipper Ardi just seems like he goes to another level with that responsibility on his shoulders. Running wide in those loose channels, that's when he does his best work. Chased down a nice little chip kick from Bodie Barrett, which helps set up a try as well. When he's playing that freely, he is just so dangerous. Paddy T, I haven't seen him be that physical in a while, and you have to remember, that was his first game of code since the Blues departed their season in the semi-finals as well. I thought he was unreal, really stepped up with the vacancy of Scotty Barrett there. I thought Tupou Vai was massive in this one too. Of course, injured now, unfortunately, with an HIA, but he continues to build on what was a really impressive Super Rugby season, and another strong shift from him in the 6. Certainly putting his hand up to play there against South Africa and in the games against Argentina in the weeks to come. Fabian Holland, back-to-back 80-minute performances for him. 2 tests into his career now, and he's gone the distance confidence in both. A big human being, and that try that Tupou Vaa'i scored, probably one of the best team tries from the All Blacks I've seen in a while. The interchange of passing between the forwards was just so impressive. Fabian Holland in there too. I think he threw the last pass. There's not many forwards or locks or blokes that size in general that would be able to do what he did in that play. Incredibly pleasing for me to see, because if we are going to go toe-to-toe with the best sides in the world, this could be our point of difference. That skill set between the low numbers, that could prove so important in getting us the result in these bigger test matches and games to come. In the backs, I thought Cammy Roygaard was really good. That maul try was a doozy right off the training paddock, and everyone is sucking off Russie, saying how creative he is. Well, Razor, he showed he has some tricks up his sleeve as well. Cooked up a special there, and it delivered 7 points too. That was a great try to watch. Incredibly crafty stuff from the All Blacks as well. I thought Billy Proctor was really good. A strong bounce-back performance from him. His defence especially, much improved from the first test. Will Jordan, he is always great in the 15 this game. Scored a try, as he does every week. Death, taxes, and a Will Jordan meaty. That saluted. I thought Bodie looked good as well, although at times a couple nudges where I thought he was just kicking the ball away a little. It was pretty interesting to hear him post-game as well, talking about how he doesn't know how many more games he will have in the black jersey and that every test is special. Perhaps he was hinting at retirement is not far away from him, of course, back end of his career, but I just assumed he'd try push through till at least the end of the next World Cup. Perhaps that's not the case though, so we really need to cherish these moments with Bodie in our side, because he has been well and truly one of the greats for the All Blacks. A heck of a player. This French side, they made 10 changes to this team, and I think it really did show they had less caps in their side combined than Bodie Barrett alone, and I think they paid the price for it. I don't understand why they made so many changes too, after only losing the first test by 4 points. To me, that makes no sense. At the same time, if it's the French doing it, it makes complete sense, because you never quite know what they are going to do week to week. But surely if you lose test 1 by 4 points, you roll into the decider, you keep a pretty settled team, and you look to try and pull off the dub to then force a game 3 where everything is on the line. Not the case though. They played some fuck it French footy, rolled the Rimu, and as a result, I thought they looked pretty bang average. So a solid win from the All Blacks, lads. A real confidence booster too. I do see people kind of overreacting, saying, shit, this is the best the All Blacks have looked in years. You do have to keep in mind, this is a French B or C side, and I think that team that we played on the weekend was probably closer to their C side than their B side. So keep that in mind. It was a good performance though, and you can only play who is in front of you. So well done to Razors, lads. A great dub. And hopefully they can look to build on top of that again this weekend in Hamilton. The Lions, shout out to them. Their tour of Australia continues to go swimmingly. A 48-0 win over the Anzac 15 in a game where I had high hopes. I thought the Anzac 15 were going to push the British and Irish Lions right down to the wire, but that certainly wasn't the case. I thought the Lions' defence was outstanding. To hold that Anzac team to 0, their physicality was massive. They forced the Anzacs into so many errors on attack, and also forced them to kick away a shit ton of ball. They dominated the collision, and as a result, the Anzacs couldn't really get into the game. When you look at some of the attacking threats that team possess, the fact they couldn't score any points is a massive head tip to this Lions team. There was a few moments of magic for the Anzacs, but you could also tell it was a team that had never played together before. They were pretty rusty, and when they did make some breaks, they just didn't have the gel or cohesion, no time and saddle to be able to make the Lions pay. Whereas the Lions, I thought they moved the ball well to the edges. They used Hansen and Van der Merwe to get behind the Anzacs D-line, and then just played footy from there. Front foot with momentum. They look bloody good. I was a little surprised at how good they have looked as well throughout this tour. I thought the Wallabies were going to be a chance to win this series. Now, I certainly don't like their chances, at least for game 1. They've only had one hit out against Fiji, and they were lucky to get the dub there. Lions, they are way more primed and prepared for this, and I think we'll see the result of that in the first test this weekend in Brisbane. South Africa, mentioned Rassie before, they had a 41-0 win over Italy, and shit was he doing Rassie things, that for sure. Busted out a maul in phase play, which I think he said he saw from a South African high school team, which did it about a month ago. The clip went viral on Instagram. They also had that kickoff move, which I really didn't like. If you didn't see it, opening kickoff of the game, they kicked it about 2 metres on purpose. The chaser was intentionally in front of the kicker too, caught the ball. That is not a penalty apparently. Off a restart, it's just a free kick. They forced the Italians into playing for a scrum and then thought they could milk a scrum penalty. Fortunately, it backfired and they got free kicked, so it worked out that they had a bit of egg on their face at the end of that one. I don't rate that tactic. The old maul in phase play, though, certainly didn't mind that one. It did make me question, though, the legality of it and what teams can do to stop it. Can you sack it straight away? Do the same rules apply as off a line out? If you don't engage as the defending side, is it obstruction? Because it's happening in general play. The ball moves to the back. The guy at the front is then in front of the ball carrier. Surely there's got to be some loopholes in this one, and I have no doubt the team at World Rugby, they were jumping on a Zoom call straight away to try and find out how they could potentially scrub that out of the game. It's creative from Rassie, though. You got to give him credit for that one, and the South Africans, they just continue to look bloody good. Fiji, they beat Scotland in Suva, a great result for them as well. That's 2 impressive performances for them so far in their international campaign. In terms of this week, of course, All Blacks, Test 3, that'll be a goodie in the Tron. As I mentioned before, Tupou Vaa'i, he will be out. I'm recording this before Razor names his side on Thursday. I think week 1 he named it about 11:30. Last weekend he named it at about 10 a.m. after the team got leaked in week 1. So who knows what time he will release it, tomorrow or today for you guys listening. Could well be in hindsight as well. Might have already dropped it, but you get my point. I'll be interested to see if Naitoa Akoi comes in for Tupou Vaa'i. He's been training with the side, at a great Super Rugby campaign for the Chiefs. He's clearly right on the fringe. I would love to see him make his debut off the bench. I reckon that would be epic to see. An incredibly talented footballer who certainly deserves a crack. And of course, friend of the show, one of the great Roosters. So that pulls on the personal heartstrings as well. I do think there will be changes in this one. Razor mentioned that he wanted to see everyone get a run in this French series. All 35 or 36 odd that were named in the squad. So I think D-Mac, potential he could be named at 10. Ruben Love at 15. I would love to see that. Excuse the pun there. Anton Leonard-Brown. I believe he's good to go, recovered from his injury. So perhaps he gets a crack in the midfield. Brodie McAllister. Have to think he would get a chance off the bench. Of course, Cody Taylor. Actually, shout out to Cody Taylor. Round of applause. His 100th All Blacks game this weekend. He becomes the latest Centurion at 34 years young. What an All Black he has been. A great servant of the black jersey. One of our great hookers too. A good player to watch. Loves a rolling maul media. Hissing skill set in those wide channels. And this bloke certainly deserves to achieve that milestone. So well done to you, CT. You'd have to think he starts this game and achieves it, because we go to Argentina after this, I believe. And Razor, you don't want one of your most experienced All Black lads to achieve that milestone away from home. You want him to do it in front of friends and family in Hamilton. So surely Cody Taylor in the hooking role. Other changes, I think we'll see a couple in the loose forwards. Maybe Duplessis Kirifi gets a crack. Dalton Papali'i, of course, called in for injury cover. Luke Jacobson, I certainly think he will get a trot as well. Quinn Tupaia, does he come back into the 12 jersey? Tavatavanawai, could he be potential to start? I'm really looking forward to seeing this All Blacks team named, and if it is going to be as exciting as I think it is, and there's going to be wholesale changes, then I'm keen to see how they perform too. Up against the French side that will be pretty embarrassed. I saw they didn't even watch the trophy ceremony last week for the Gallagher Trophy. They literally walked off. They were that filthy at themselves. That's piss poor sportsmanship for me. Don't advocate that at all, but that's the French for you. They can be emotional and they can be stroppy, but they'll be fired up to get a bit of pride back. See, the French media has been ripping into them as well. So don't sleep on them. I think they'll come out all guns firing, but we will still be way too good, and I'm expecting another big All Blacks win. Lions, mentioned it before, I think they're going to be too strong for the Wallabies as well, so that should be a good watch. Back-to-back games, strap yourself in. Rugby Union on your Saturday, then the Warriors doubleheader on your Sunday. It doesn't get much better than that. Also, quickly, before we move on from rugby, KP, of course, news broke during the week. He's engaged the services of a New Zealand rugby agent. I did an Instagram post on this one as well, just giving you my thoughts around who I'd like to see him go play for. Well, since then, had a couple people that are reasonably in the know, and they don't know anything concrete, but decent sources. They've said if he comes to New Zealand, they reckon it could well be at the Chiefs, which would make for a bloody exciting backline. Cortez Ratama, then you throw in D-Mac at 10. You've got Quinn Tupaia, Anton Leonard-Brown, Daniel Rona all in the midfield. Plus, out on the stings, Amoni Narawa, Leroy Carter with KP at the back. That would be crazy stuff. Surely a Super Rugby title finally in the Tron there. Of course, they got Sean Stevenson money and a gap to fill there as well, so they could chuck a decent paycheck at KP. It would still be a massive pay cut from his NRL coin, but if he wants to come to New Zealand and wear the black jersey, then that's something he has to accept. The other chat from decent sources as well is that this R360, this Rebel Rugby League, which a couple big dogs in the business world are trying to spark up, apparently they are keen on him to be their first marquee signing too, and that would be a shit ton of coin. KP, he's not afraid of making some money as well, so no doubt that would be pretty appealing to him. So I'm hearing Chiefs if it's New Zealand, R360 if it's not, but watch this space. I do think there is a genuine chance KP ditches the Knights and jumps code, and I'll be excited to see it happen. Fuck, would it be a great get for New Zealand rugby, off-field marketing-wise as well, landing a player like Kalen Ponga. We've seen the Joseph Suaalii effect for Super Rugby in Australia. The Tars, they got bums on seats. The Wallabies, people were so interested, and it makes them a genuine talking point. KP to a Super Rugby side in New Zealand would be massive for interest and bums on seats. And personally, I'm all here for it. He was good at code coming through the grades as well. And yes, it would be a tough transition for him, but hey, I think he's still, 27 years old? He has time. If he wants to make the World Cup squad in 2027, then he needs to act fast. Not sure if he will do that because we're stacked with talent, but hey, if he wants to give it a fair dinkum crack, then he needs to make the switch ASAP. I would love to see it. KP, if you're listening, not sure if you're a fan of the show, hopefully you are, but haere mai, brother, we would love to have you over here in Aotearoa. If not, at least play for the Kiwis in Rugby League and represent your old man's roots. But anyway, sidetracked, up the ABs and KP news. Watch this space. I reckon something will be dropping pretty soon. All right, let's have a flutter, courtesy of our great mates at the TAB. Remember as well that first try scorer bonus cash back promo applies to any NRL game this weekend. Use the code FIRST. If your player doesn't score first, you'll get your money back in bonus cash, up to $20. Gotta love that. First game to look at, Dolphins taking on the Cowboys. Finns at Suncorp, home favourites, $1.55. The Cowboys paying $2.45. The Finns, they've scored a half century in their last two games at Suncorp Stadium. And I think about a month ago, or just over that, they actually slapped the Cowboys too, put over 50 on them in a strong performance. Was a great win. In saying that, counter stat, the Cowboys have won both their matches against the Dolphins at Suncorp. So maybe if you believe in the Cows, that could be enough to get you across the line. The Cowboys, though, they have conceded 200 points in their last 6 games. So that Dolphins point scoring stat of half a century in their last 2 at Suncorp. Into the Cowboys, loving to leak points. Certainly screams the overs points total in this one. And for me, it's also enough to convince me to get on the Finns. For your try scorers, Herbie Farnworth, 10 tries in his last 11 games, scoring them for fun this year, the Herbivore. And the Hammer, he scored 12 tries in his last 6 games at Suncorp Stadium as well. So for a same game multi in this one, I think it's pretty straightforward. I'm going to go Hammer into Herbie, into the Dolphins to get the result at $4 rugby league dollars. First try scorer options here, Hammer and Herbie for me. They're just great get-ons. Murray Taulagi, have had a bit of luck on him in the past as well. Didn't score last week, but was in good try-scoring form prior to that game, so maybe he is a jump on as well. First game on your Full Fizz Friday, Sharks versus Roosters. Sharks $1.65, the Chooks at $2.25. The Sharks, they've lost their last 4 games against top 8 opposition. The Roosters have won 9 of their last 11 games against the Sharks as well. I really like the Chooks here, as I mentioned before, and at $2.25 underdogs, I reckon they are probably your best bet of the week, outside the Warriors, of course. For your try scorers, Ronaldo Mulatalo, he's on a 5-game try-scoring streak against the Chooks, so get on him. And Daniel Tupou, he requires just 2 more tries to equal 5th on the all-time NRL try-scoring list. So he's right up there, so is AJ, both climbing the try-scoring ladder rapidly. Adam Fanua-Blake, his 200th NRL game as well, if you like a little milestone meaty. So I'm going Roosters here at $2.25 in my same game multi for your try scorers. Think you're crazy if you don't have Ronaldo after that little comment there, those stats. And then Mark Ngawanganetawase. I'm going to ignore the Tupou one. Big Marky Mark didn't dot last week. I reckon he scores this week. Surely that bloke doesn't go 2 weeks on the trot without bagging a meaty. $7 for that. Love that as a little same game multi for a Friday night fill up. Then following that game, Panthers taking on the Bunnies. Panthers $1.38 favourites. The Rabbitohs $3.05 outsiders, despite, of course, Nathan Cleary and Isaiah Yeo still being rested. Stats, though, they show why. Panthers have won 12 of their last 15 against the Bunnies. The Rabbitohs, they haven't defeated the Panthers twice in a season since 2017. Of course, bet them earlier in the year, so they'll be looking to pull that off. The Panthers have won their last 4 games at CommBank Stadium as well. Of course, their home ground for this year, and they've only conceded 58 points in their last 5 games, which just goes to show, everyone says comps are won off the back of defense. Panthers for so long have been the best defensive team in the competition. Start of the year, they were conceding points. Now they've hit into 5th gear and they're starting to lock teams down. For the Bunnies, Tallis Duncan, 5 tries in his last 4 games. He is playing in the centres in this one, so he is a decent sniff. Of course, it's To'o back on the sting. Thomas Jenkins, a good bet for the Panthers as well. So is Paul Alamotti at $2.65. So I'm going to jump on him. And then I'm going to go on AJ, $2.02. The bloke's a rugby league try scorer. He is back on the wing. And then I'm going to take the Bunnies on the plus 9.5 line at $1.87. I do think the Panthers will win, but I expect it to be tight. So that's Alamotti, AJ, Bunnies plus 9.5, $8.49. Love that bet personally. Super Saturday, first game of the day, sees the Green Machine, the Canberra Milk, take on the Parramatta Eels. Raiders at $1.22 favourites. Parramatta paying $4.25. The Raiders, they've won their last 3 straight against Parramatta. The Eels have only won 2 of their last 13 games at GIO Stadium in Canberra. They hate going to the nation's capital. And the Raiders, they've won 7 of their 8 home games so far this year. For your try scorers, Josh Addo-Carr, he needs 1 more to bag 150 NRL tries. And Hudson Young, back in the fold. He scored 4 tries in his last 3 games against Parramatta. Loves himself a meaty, so I love that the stats suggest that he is in for a sniff here. $2.20 you can get him for. Chuck him in the same game up with the Milk at $1.22 head-to-head. The line is 13.5. I do think they 13 plus them, but you got to be a little bit cautious. KO Weeks, hat-trick last game, scored 1 the game before that. If my quick math is correct, that is 4 tries in his last 2 games. He's paying $1.90. The bloke is fast as fuck. So I'm going Raiders into Huddy Young and KO Weeks, $4.25 to kick off your Super Saturday. Dogs, Dragons, Dogs, $1.38 favourites. Dragons, $3.05 underdogs. Chaos at the Doggies. They don't know who they are picking at the moment. Cam Serraldo all at sea, but still they've won their last 4 games against the Dragons, and the Dragons haven't won at a core since 2019. They've also only won 2 of their 8 away home games this year. So basically, on the road, they suck shit. For your try scorers, Jacob Preston, he's having a great year of bagging meaties. $2.45 for him. Scored last week, although a bit of patternry potentially coming into play here. In his last 5 games, he went try, no try, try, no try, try. So if you believe in that, like I do, then perhaps you leave him off your slips this week. Jethro Rinakama, of course, debuted last week for the Dogs on the wing. Looks an exciting talent. He scored, so he's got a 100% try rate in the NRL, paying $1.92. Don't mind jumping on him. Other options to look at, Jaden Sewer, he scored in each of his last 2 games. He's paying $4.50 for the Dragons. Some pretty good value right there. And Viliami Kikau, he has an 8-game winning streak against the Drags as well. Nothing to do with try scorers, but any streak I'm a fan of, and that has been enough for him to sneak onto my bet slip. So I'm going to go Dogs to win, Kikau and Jethro Rinakama both to score, $6.55. I think even though Galvin's in the 7, the Dogs still get the chocolates here. Storm versus Manly. This to me is going to be an interesting game. Melbourne $1.33, Manly $3.35. Of course, still some big outs for Manly as well. Munster, he is named to play. He will be a huge welcome back, but still no Pappenhausen. Kane Bradley keeps his spot on the Sting too, so they're not quite 100%. They have won their last 10 straight at Amy Park though, and Manly haven't won in Melbourne since 2019, which is a pretty crazy stat. In fact, I think they have a 30% all-time winning record there, so they hate going to Victoria. For your try scorers, Ali Katoa, 6 tries in his last 7 games at Amy Park this season. What the Ali? He is having a hectic season, that bloke. He has scored 4 tries in his last 3 games as well, including a double last weekend. Extremely impressive. And like I said before, his combination with Hughes just continues to dish up dubs for Bellamy's boys. For Manly, Tolu Kola, 2 tries in his last 2 games, 4 in his last 5, $2.75. I prefer him when they play at home though at 4 Pines, so he could be a leave off. Tom Travojevic, loving life in the centres, 2 tries in his last game, $2.80. That's some good odds for Turbo. My best for Manly though has to be Ruben the Snack Garrick. 5 tries in his last 3 games, doubles in 2 of them, $2.30 for him to cross on the wing. I reckon that is a really good bet. I'm going to go the Melbourne Storm here to get the dub. I think Ruben Garrick will cross, and Ali Katoa, can he keep the streak going? Why not? I'll back him in. Ex-Warrior, which means it's quite sentimental to me as well. So Garrick, Storm, Ali Katoa, $6.78. Remember, with all of these same game multis as well, if they miss by 1 leg, you get your money back in bonus cash up to $50. Max of 1 of those per day, but it's a bloody good insurance option to have. Super Sunday, Tigers take on the Gold Coast Titans. Tigers $1.52 favourites. The Titans at $2.55. There should be points aplenty in this one. A genuine possible wooden spoon bowl, although I do think the Tigers are better than that. Both these teams, though, they don't mind scoring points, and I think defense could be optional in this clash. The Tigers, they're aiming for back-to-back wins against the Titans for the first time since the 2011-2012 career. That is crazy. The Titans have won 5 of their last 6 against the Tigers. This is the Tigers' 100th game at Leichhardt Oval, though, so a pretty special milestone for the club. For the Tigers, try scorers Adam Dewey, he scored a try in all 4 games he has played against the Titans. He's in good try-scoring form as well. Bagged a double against us last week, I think. Did he get 2 in the end? He certainly did. This week he's at lock. $5.25. That is massive value for a bloke who loves finding his way to a line. Jarrell Skelton, $1.77. He will be dangerous on that edge too. And then for the Titans, Philip Sammy, 6 tries in his last 5 games against the West Tigers. Not a bad shout for him as well at $2.10. Jojo Fafita, No relation to the chicken fajita. Tipped him out last week. He bagged a double. He scored 3 in his last 2. 275 for him. That is some good value right there. For this game, I'm going to do a fence sit. I love that try bet option. You guys know this. You're winning markets. Either team to win by 12.5 points or less. That's paying $1.75 in this one. Chuck that in with a Jojo Fafita and an Adam Dewey. What is doing? $21.63. Massive value for the first of your doubleheader on Sunday. Hopefully green ticks on bet slips, and then you have a bit of money to play around with for the feature game of the round, which is of course the lads from Newey taking on the Warriors. Knights 280, Warriors $1.44. Stats suggest we're on here. So does the general vibe and form as well. So Warriors fans, I think we can head into this one feeling pretty confident. The Knights, they are at home, but they've lost 7 of their last 8 games at McDonald Jones Stadium. The Warriors, we've won 3 of our last 4 against the Knights, and we've won 6 from 8 in Australia this season. Bradman Best, he'll play his 100th NRL game for them, and he will be a dangerous try-scoring option on that edge where we generally concede most of our points. I think we're allowing 60+% of our tries on that side, so pencil him in. Dommy Young, 26 tries in 27 games at McDonald Jones Stadium, but he will be up against RTS, who will lock him down. For your try scorers for the Warriors, of course, Dallin back in try scoring form, and I reckon he is a great shout. The Knights are conceding 46% of their tries on his side, so I think he will bag immediate $1.75. RTS on a 2-game try scoring streak, he is at $1.80. Leka Halasima, 4 tries in his last 5 games, $3 for him. And Chanel Harris-Tavita bagged a double last week, $3.40, not the worst option. I also think Kurt Capewell at $3.25, full of confidence off the back of that Queensland Origin win, which still really pisses me off, but he is a decent shout as well. Same game multi for this one though. I'm going to go Warriors into Bradman Best and Dell and hope for a juicy return. A little multi I wanted to tip out as well. I do think the majority of the favourites get up this week, with the Roosters being my one upset, so I'm going to try pick the perfect round. Finns, Roosters, Panthers, Raiders, Dogs, Storm, Tigers, Warriors, $21.71. If you swap the Tigers out for that either team 1 to 12 option, that's actually paying more too, which I think could be a good bet. Also, if you swapped out the Panthers for that Rabbitohs line, which I'm not afraid of, then that would return some lucrative odds as well. So plenty of great options to get around on your NRL punting this weekend. Get up the NRLW women as well, the mighty Wahine. Hopefully they can pull off the upset at decent odds too. For your rugby, the 15-man code, All Blacks $7 favourites, France $7.50. The line is 20.5 points, which is pretty damn high. So New Zealand to cover that, $1.80. France to cover that, $2. The total points is 57.5. I think the weather, it's going to be on and off. Patches of rain. So that does seem like quite a high total, especially if it is wholesale changes galore. Again, team's not out at time of recording, so it's hard to give you some try scorers, but if Ruben Love is at the back, then get on him. Winger's always a great option, and if Cody Taylor is named for Test 100, that would just be rugby union poetry if he was able to salute. For your winning teams and margins, All Blacks by 11 to 20, tipped it out every week, yet to hit. $3.30, don't mind that. Otherwise, I think 21 to 30 is the other option at $3.30 as well. British and Irish Lions up against the Wallabies. I like the Lions in this one for reasons I spoke about before. $1.33 for them, Aussie at $3.20. What's the line in this one? It is set at 8.5 points, the total at 48.5. That's a chance to go overs, but I'll be getting on the British and Irish Lions. Shout out to Thames Valley taking on Taranaki on the weekend as well. Shield Challenge, they're paying 31 of the best. You literally can't bet on Taranaki. Don't think Thames Valley, the old Swamp Foxes, will get up, but they are my heartland team. So, I would love to see that. Samoa versus Scotland at Eden Park. Scotland $1.11 favourites, and unfortunately, I think they win as well. Argentina versus Uruguay. Argentina at 18s. Sorry, Uruguay at 18s. Argentina, can't bet on them. You'd have to back them in as well. The RGs and South Africa play Georgia. Can't bet on that one either. Georgia out at $26. The betting on South Africa suspended. They should pants them. They could roll out their fucking E-side and they would still be too good. So All Blacks 11-20 or 21-30. Cody Taylor, Milestone Meady, the Wicked Wingers, and a Ruben Love as well for good measure for your rugby union punting. Of course, there is some good biffs this weekend as well. UFC 318, plus there's the Usyk versus Dubois scrap. Winner hopefully fights Joseph Parker. If it is Usyk's retirement fight as well, that would be a great get for the Kiwi. So if you enjoy your combat sports, there's plenty for you to have a cheeky little lick on this weekend. Right, that's us for the STS podcast. Remember, drop number 2, Surly Talk Sports, Canadian Club Golf Day, 6 p.m. Sunday. Limited numbers, a small amount of teams available. So if you're not already in the mixer, make sure you are on the website refreshing from the moment it hits 6 o'clock, because this will sell out bloody fast and you don't want to miss out. It is going to be a heck of a day. Fingers crossed the weather plays ball. Everything else, though, is looking exceptional. Should be one of the great sends, and I would love to see you there. So 6 p.m, drop 2, get in fast. She will sell out quick. Apart from that, catch you back here, same time, same place, next Thursday. Remember that code FIRST for the TAB, first try score a bet. If it misses, money back up to $20 on the NRL in bonus cash. Get around that. Up the Warriors, up the NRLW side, up the ABs, up the Lions, although I'd probably rather the Wallabies win, to be fair, but split on that one. Hope Usyk wins in the boxing as well so that Joe Parker can knock him out in his farewell fight and take the straps. See you next Thursday. Have a good weekend. Enjoy all the sport. How good.